I am proud to bring you the Local 100 President's Report on the state of our union. "2020 was a year like none other in our union's history. Together, we faced a pandemic that threatened our very way of life. I'm enormously proud of how Local 100 members dealt with the daily stress and constant dangers posed by the coronavirus. Your courageous work under the most difficult of circumstances has forever cemented the way transit workers are regarded in this society. We are essential, not just to the regular routines of millions of riders, but the very survival of this city. There would have been no fight back against the deadly virus without us. Our neighbors, our families, and countless other residents of our city and state depended on us. This has been a war, and you are veterans of that war. We will make sure you are honored and remembered forever. But the emergency is far from over. We're facing a second wave of the disease. We also found ourselves in a death grip battle against the MTA's doomsday budget for 2021. A budget that called for massive layoffs and service cuts to fill a multi-billion-dollar hole. We immediately told the media that the MTA's plan was an outrageous and spineless surrender to the coronavirus, and that we would fight back with everything in our arsenal to prevent layoffs for 2021. We worked with our TWU International President John Samuelson and the rest of organized labor to ensure that the new COVID relief measure provided the MTA with the economic relief it needed to operate in 2021 without layoffs. We were successful. We can now all rest easy that our jobs of all TA, OA, and MTA bus members are protected for 2021. Our battle against the coronavirus dominated our efforts in 2020. We relentlessly fought for safer workplace, adequate PPE, and real financial relief for the families of those lost to this horrible disease. However, 2020 actually got off to a very promising start. Just days into the new year, the TA, OA, and MTA bus membership overwhelmingly ratified a new 4-year contract just weeks after an exciting contract rally of 10,000 transit workers outside of 2 Broadway. The contract provided wage increases in each year, amounting to 9.84% compounded over the contract period. More importantly, the contract preserved our health coverage with no increases in payroll deduction, and we achieved improved dental benefits, and starting this past September 1st, coverage for hearing aids for the first time. Thanks to the language negotiated in the contract, we recently were able to achieve an important first agreement on light-duty positions for pregnant train operators and conductors. This agreement is a first for TWU at New York City Transit. I pledge to continue to press forward to bring similar opportunities for our transit sisters across all titles in all departments. To date, the contract has provided transit workers with the first 2 contractual raises, as well as full retroactivity to May 16, 2019. We remain the only union across all MTA properties with the current agreement. We are currently supporting our brothers and sisters in the Amalgamated Transit Union as they try to achieve a contract that mirrors our gains. We joined the ATU at 2 big rallies over the summer to demonstrate our backing. The good feelings of the first few weeks of 2020 because of our contract victory soon gave way to a new reality that no one could ever have imagined: COVID-19. In those first crucial weeks of the pandemic, we fought for and won many important changes in operating safety to halt the transmission of the disease in the transit system. Our efforts to hold the spread of the virus positively impacted safety across all titles, from buses to subway operation, and from maintenance of way to car equipment. Many of these workplace enhancements will now become a permanent part of the MTA's safety protocols, even when this dreadful pandemic is mercifully behind us. It is impossible to know how many lives our efforts saved by our actions, or how many workers we spared from the pain and anxiety of contracting the disease itself. We can all be proud, however, that together we battle back against the greatest threat our city and our country has faced in many decades. In New York, more than 33,000 people have died. These are stunning numbers. Unfortunately, all of our efforts to prevent the loss of life in our ranks could not save everyone. The MTA family lost 131 brothers and sisters. More than 90 were our brother and sister Local 100 members from across all departments. We did not abandon these families. We fought for and successfully negotiated a $500,000 family benefit for the beneficiaries of our members who fell to COVID-19. No other union, including the uniformed services, achieved this kind of support for the families. We also secured an unprecedented 3 years of health insurance coverage for the spouses and dependents of these members. And we fought successfully in Albany to amend New York State pension laws to provide a 50% pension for life or a lump sum payment to the beneficiary of each member who fell victim to this virus. To honor their memories, we have contracted with outstanding local artists to create a powerful memorial inside our Union Hall to the memory of these brothers and sisters. The battle is not over. A second wave is here. But we have been preparing for months. This past summer, we issued an official TWU 10-point plan for reopening New York. The MTA adopted most of our plan. One of those key points was the imposition of a mask mandate for all passengers using the bus and subway system. As the weeks have passed, the public has gotten used to the idea and the mask usage is very high among the ridership. We successfully pressured Albany to impose a $50 fine for passengers who refuse to wear a mask in the subway or bus system. In October, the MTA agreed to implement one of the union's top priorities, the testing and screening of thousands of transit workers for COVID-19 every week. The early detection program is the first of its kind for transit workers in the United States. It involves voluntary testing at bus depots and rail yards and other transit facilities across the properties on a rolling basis. The program has already identified dozens of asymptomatic workers who tested positive and could have spread the disease for days among our co-workers. Instead, these workers were sent home to safely quarantine. This underscores the vital importance of this testing program, as well as the need for members to take advantage of it. On May 23rd, the local lost a true soldier of the labor movement with the passing of Administrative Vice President Nelson Rivera. Nelson died after a 2-year battle with lung cancer. He was only 53 years old and had been a part of TWU for 30 years. On the day of his viewing on June 4, 2020, a steady stream of mourners gathered to pay their respect at the funeral home. Scores more participated in a motorcade past the funeral home, led by a New York City transit bus out of the Gleason Depot. Local 100 has never had a tougher, more aggressive advocate for this membership. There are hundreds of Local 100 members who today have a job because of Nelson's relentless advocacy. His passing was a tremendous loss for all of TWU and for the entire labor movement. Rest in peace, Brother Nelson. You are very much missed at Local 100. On September 29th, the board took action to fill the void left by Nelson's passing. It named another great warrior for transit workers to serve as our new administrative vice president. He is Linwood Wichard, the elected vice president of Stations Division. The board then named Robert Kelly, the division chair, as vice president of Stations, and Derek Ashevaria as the new division chair to complete the winning trifecta for Local 100 leadership. We are all very lucky that Local 100 has such quality leaders ready to take on more responsible roles at a given notice. I am confident that they will bring a new level of unity to our organization as a whole, and to Stations Division in particular. Good luck to them all. I am happy to report that Local 100 campaign for a diesel-free workplace took a huge step forward over the summer when the MTA announced it will be replacing its diesel-only powered work trains with 25 electric diesel hybrid locomotives over the next 5 years. The first 2 will be delivered within 38 months. Local 100 Secretary, Treasurer, and Safety Director Earl Phillips has done an incredible job of spearheading the union's fight to rid the workplace of diesel fumes. Thank you, Earl. Your efforts are creating an ever safer workplace for transit workers. I'm proud to report that our first class of apprentices in the Upward Advancement Program in 2016 have now come full circle in a rewarding process that has taken nearly 4 years. On July 29th, this group of former cleaners and traffic checkers completed their apprenticeships. They are now journeymen and women in the structured department. In other words, this class went from the lowest paid titles to among the highest paid titles in this system, thanks to this union. It's a tremendous accomplishment for these members and for the union as well. I congratulate them all for their professionalism in making a better life for themselves and their family. Also, in this regard, our second and third graduating class are well on their way to journeyman and women status. And despite the pandemic, our newest apprenticeship class, our fourth, got underway in September. I am very happy to report that our TWU Local 100 College Scholarship Program has reached the $600,000 mark in grants to children and grandchildren of TWU members and retirees since the program was launched in 2010. In July, thanks to our partners at M3 Technology, $100,000 in grants was announced at a virtual drawing. This year's winners include 2 $10,000 recipients, 6 $5,000 awardees, and 50 $1,000 winners. We were also joined by a second partner, the law firm of RGLZ, which has pledged $25,000 annually moving forward. All in all, the program will now be awarding $125,000 annually, a great thing for transit families. Transit workers were well aware of the homeless crisis in the subway long before the pandemic, but the deadly virus and Local 100's advocacy finally got the media involved and changed the narrative from a story no one wanted to confront to the front pages of the news. The union's efforts resulted in a cover of the April 28th edition of the Daily News with a blaring headline, "Next Stop Purgatory." As an organization, we feel for the plight of the homeless. However, our members were being put in danger, far worse than in the past because of the pandemic. After a rising tide of press coverage, there finally was action. Mayor Bill de Blasio launched a program with extra police and social workers that involved removing the homeless from the trains at 10 terminal stations. 2 days after the news's front pager, Governor Cuomo announced the subway would be closed from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. The historic shutdown started on May 6, 2020, with police officers ensuring stations and trains were empty of all riders. For the first time, terminal and station cleaners on the overnight shift could clean and disinfect each train at least once a day without the homeless and mentally ill remaining on board. Social workers also were deployed to offer medical, housing, and other services. The homeless crisis is not over, far from it, but we have come a long way in bringing the issue to the forefront. We will continue to press the issue next year. The union has fought hard to mitigate against assaults of our members on the job. We've won the battle for increased police patrols in the system, as well as increased penalties for those who commit these acts. Despite the pandemic, with greatly reduced ridership, serious assaults continue to happen. One of our members, train operator Garrett Goebel, was murdered in a horrific, intentionally set fire in late March. Thankfully, on December 18, 2020, after months of waiting and heartbreak for his family and friends, police made an arrest in Brother Goebel's murder. Garrett Goebel was a hero, and he was stolen from us. He was serving the public during a health crisis. He helped riders evacuate his train after the fire was set. This was a horrific crime, and his family deserves justice. On December 21st, 2020, we joined Brother Goebel's family and the MTA at Flatbush Terminal Station, where the company will establish a memorial to our fallen brother. This is a great tribute to a heroic young man, his family, and all transit workers who provided the most essential service day in and day out to the city of New York. In addition, we are establishing a scholarship in Brother Goebel's name as a tribute to his great sacrifice and as a reminder of heroic acts transit workers perform every day. Assaults against transit workers are very frustrating for us all, especially for the members who are bearing the brunt of these outrages. We are working with the city's district attorney's office to insist that the justice system's revolving door be shut when it comes to transit workers' assaults. I have been a transit worker for nearly 40 years. I've seen many derailments resulting from all sorts of accidents, but never have I seen one intentionally caused by a member of the public. A clearly disturbed man tossed construction material he found in a locked area onto the tracks as an A train approached the 14th Street station. The debris caused the first car of the incoming train to jump the tracks, sideswipe 4 structural pillars, and cause damage to the tracks and third rail. Our train crews quickly evacuated scores of passengers, but the real miracle was pulled off by the maintenance away workers from all divisions. Their amazing response had full service restored by Monday morning rush hour. It was a great job by great professionals, and they made it look easy. They underscored once again why transit workers are the most essential of all essential workers. The pandemic hit our school bus division very hard. School districts were shut down early in the pandemic. To make matters worse, the districts did not immediately reopen with the start of the new school season. Thankfully, most of the districts and 90% of our members are back working, transporting America's most precious cargo every day. We are hoping that there are no setbacks next year. But despite the pandemic, our school bus division chair, Gus McGraby's team, was able to negotiate excellent agreements with our 2 biggest school bus properties, Royal Coach and First Mile Square. We are currently in negotiations with 2 other major properties, including Quality Transportation and Supertrans. We've lost 3 of our brothers from school buses to the virus, including 1 each from White Plains Bus, First Mile Square, and Student Transportation of America. Liberty Lines Transit continued to operate throughout the pandemic. A number of our members were positive for the virus, and 1 unfortunately passed away from the disease. The union fought for and won the same safety protocols for buses at Liberty as at the MTA, including rear door boarding and driver isolation measures. The union and management worked together to get new driver shields for all Liberty buses. That has now been completed thanks to the advocacy of Chair Carlos Bernabel. I'm happy to report that we have negotiated a new 5-year contract for our brothers and sisters at GCS, the company that operates the call center for the MTA's Accessoride operation. The membership adopted the contract by an overwhelming margin. The agreement covers more than 500 of our members. We are sad to say that one of our brothers from this group was taken by the coronavirus. New York Waterway, where Local 100 represents the bus operators, is back up and running after months of being closed due to the virus. Unfortunately, we lost 2 Waterway members to COVID-19. Big Bus Tours is also back up and running after a long absence from the city streets. The tour industry across the country has been hammered by the virus, and we were no different. Hopefully, a second wave will not materialize in this area. We lost 1 brother to the pandemic at Big Bus. I'm happy to report that we actually added members to this section when New York's Horse Carriage Drivers Association decided to affiliate with Local 100. This association, which is made up of 68 licensed horse carriages and 120 drivers, is looking to Local 100's political clout to fend off Mayor de Blasio's efforts to curtail their operation. Again, brothers and sisters, it has been an honor to serve as your president during these unprecedented times of challenge. Together we battled through the worst of the crisis in 2020, and together we will overcome once more in 2021.